Wow. I mean, do you know how bad a game has to mess up for a balancing channel to cover it? A lot of you over the past few months have wanted me to cover outcome memories on the channel, but unfortunately, this is a monkey's paw situation. It's not about the game's balancing, but rather one of the most downright stupid decisions made in the Roblox asym community. You want to know the reason we didn't play outcome memories? Something definitely felt off with the game. It turns out we were right. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Outcome Memories is a volatile game, even for Roblox asym standards. Going all the way back to the ancient times of a few weeks ago, you have the long-awaited version 0.2 update, multiple killers and survivors added, a surge of new and returning players, followed by the complete shelving of the game. Straight up. Now, unless you have hundreds of thousands of active players, getting a game shelved for a long time is a death sentence, or at the very least, a death sentence to the game's short term. And in the middle of all of this was Romeo, more or less the guy who managed the community of the game. Somehow, this guy managed to keep the community's hopes up that the game would eventually come back at a later time. And for a game that's been as much of a roller coaster for its development as this one, that's a really good thing to see, and a really good asset to have on the development team. New ownership? A big reset for the game? Well, hopefully they can come back strong sometime soon and develop their asym game further for their player base. So long as they don't make any stupid decisions in the meantime that would greatly jeopardize things. Right? I have no words for this decision. Actually, what am I kidding? I have a lot of words. If a development decision you made has led you to being compared to Basil, the LeBron of making poor development decisions for asym games, you have messed up big time. End of story. The Outcome Memories developers must have seen that one Go Romeo image, because they took that one literally and booted him off the team. Yes, that's right. The one person who was somehow keeping the game afloat while it was being shelved, getting fired. But what led me to make this masterclass isn't because they fired him. It's how and why. Taking a break. The dev team fired Romeo, the only person who was carrying the game through a tough period of time, just because he wanted to take care of his mental health. And it's not like he was taking a break during crunch time. Remember, the game at this point is on hiatus. Claiming it would actually hurt long-term availability is laughable. Romeo is an asset you'd want to keep on the dev team of a game as volatile as Outcome Memories, regardless of the long-term availability risks. He proved it right to your faces. But that's why he got fired. What about how? A one-and-done DM. No discussion with Romeo, not even having the decency to ask if he could go off break sometime soon before firing him. In fact, it was the exact opposite. They ghosted him and only let the reason be known to him when announcing it publicly to the community. And it's not like they're spending an ample amount of time to find someone as competent as Romeo to fill a spot in the team. They instantly had an option ready. It feels rushed, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get the axe sooner or later too because of it, and that leadership spot turns into a revolving door of people. But if there's one piece of evidence that this decision was incompetent, it was the blame game that followed it. The entire situations just felt like the worst game of whodunit I've ever seen. Nobody liked this demotion. Based on Sharky Leo's video early on in the drama, shout out to him, the testers didn't like the demotion, the devs didn't like the demotion, the community clearly didn't like the demotion, and the moment it was clear it was unpopular, Savi claims both Lua, the person who made the announcement of the demotion, didn't make the final call, but then followed it up with denying their own involvement in the demotion. Now, this basically brings up three scenarios. First, Sabi is lying, and one of the owners were actually behind the final say of the demotion, which would make the owners look even worse. Second, the devs aren't lying about the fact that they didn't make the final call, but the game was sold allegations are actually true, and someone we don't know about made the final say, which would once again make the owners look even worse. Third, Savi is actually telling the truth that neither of them made the final call, which would imply that someone below the owners had a notable say in a decision that big, which is pretty incompetent if you ask me. But once again, we know from Sharky Leo that the testers and developers overwhelmingly didn't like the decision. So who the hell would it reasonably be? This would also, unsurprisingly, make the owners look like complete bums. So we have a catch-22 where regardless of the outcome, the owners are are at fault in some way when it comes to Romeo's demotion, that once again made zero sense. The moment it was clear that this decision was poorly received, they tried to deflect the blame in the most obvious way possible, and anyone with even half a brain cell could see through it. And it's not like they can just pivot on this decision and rehire him. Quite far from it. Bite by Night swooped in after all. And do you really think Romeo would suddenly come back on the team after he scrapped Furnace and whatnot? He isn't even allowing them to be used in Bite by Night if I'm correct. The Outcome Memories dev team has made a decision so malicious that it can't reasonably be defended, so incompetent that it can't be resolved in a way that makes the game better, and has seemingly erased all hope that the game could eventually bounce back from it being shelved, to the point where I have to call out the stupidity of it in a Masterclass video. This is not how you're supposed to handle things when something comes up in developing a game, and should be a case study in what happens when an attempt at damage control turns into self-sabotage. And just like every other instance of drama in the Roblox asym community, it somehow always gets worse. No, seriously. How did the developers think this was gonna better the situation? Let alone make them look like they were in the right? First off, I don't know what you were expecting when you demoted Romeo behind your back. Did you realistically think he wouldn't voice his complaints on the matter when he found out? You know, God forbid someone is able to speak out on blatant developer incompetence. Second off, this is just clear manipulation to try and get Romeo to apologize for a completely justified series of complaints. Throw him in a group chat with 3 others and completely dogpile him. Play the victim card. Yes, I'm sure this will go well. Third off, the whole hope situation. Are we serious? Are you really gonna discount all the good he's done for a game that would have otherwise died out? Do you even care about your own game and the community that comes with it? The situation would have 100% been better off for you if this post wasn't made. Nothing positive came out of this. The owners dug their reputation down to the earth's core. Romeo got yelled at for no reason. Sabi allegedly got doxxed, which is completely inexcusable for the Outcome Memories community. I don't care if you make the stupidest decision ever seen in the asym community. You do not deserve to get doxxed for it. And speaking of Outcome Memories, a complete cancellation. As much as I hated the decision to fire Romeo, as much as the gameplay wasn't quite my cup of tea, as much as I felt like something was up with the game, I really wanted to see Outcome Memories eventually at some point in time bounce back and right its wrongs. It seems it won't get that opportunity. I'm glad at the end of the day, Sabi at the very least realized what they did is inexcusable, and didn't decide to double down once again like so many others have unfortunately done in the asym game community. There's a bunch of other asym games out there, so no doubt there will be opportunities for the former devs of Outcome Memories to continue in game development. I wish the best of luck to them. And that goes into my final section. The How to Fix section. It's not directed at Outcome Memories, but rather the greater asym genre community on Roblox. I can only hope that for the other asym games out there, a meaningful lesson has been learned from this when it comes to decision making and PR. Throughout this drama, there have been a multitude of exit ramps, which could have at the very least kept this game alive, that were all ignored due to faulty choices. Transparency isn't some privilege you owe to others or your community. It's a key pillar. When there's radio silence for so long about what's going on, especially without a transitional plan in place on what to do after, it's going to cause concern. Then concern becomes fear. Then fear becomes outrage. If these team issues are resolved amicably in-house, then that's all the better. But as your project grows and community interaction is part of your lifeblood, especially with a member as prevalent as Romeo was, people need to know. This doesn't place itself entirely on team removal decisions either. A good example was OmegaWare's removal from Die of Death. It was removed, a statement was made with a plan to replace it, and the community is informed of the decision and why. Clear-cut and simple with minimal drama. The importance of team management and handling its issues before going public is paramount, especially with so many new ones being created or in alpha right now. And I know a majority are just teens working on a project for fun, but if it hits off, well, you need to be prepared and be more mature with your decisions. What might be normal behavior for you won't be the same when thousands of eyes are upon you. What just a few weeks ago was a thriving asym game that had the potential to rival Forsaken slowly descended into a full cancellation after more or less a single poor choice from its leadership. Nothing positive was gained from this, and it should be a scathing reminder to have proper development protocols and not make decisions that could irreversibly detriment a game long term. This wasn't misfortune, bad luck, or growing pains. This was deliberate, preventable, and ultimately a masterclass in mediocrity. See ya.